these kids would come watch us play because we'd open the garage door, obviously.
Yeah.
And like this one kid, he just like showed up one day. He's all dressed up in like 5 different costumes. And he's like watching us play. And then we're just like, what's up? And he's like, I'm a fish alligator. And we're just like, what? we did that was our reaction. We started laughing. So we're like, what the fuck? He's like this 6-year-old kid. And we're like, what? And he's like, you find that funny? Well, I'm getting out of here. And he just like ran off.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to another new episode of Hitmakers, your favorite drum podcast, I assume. Here we are at episode 5. Did you think we'd make it to 5 episodes? Well, we're here. Oh, ye of little faith. We've got a fun one for you today. I sat down and talked with Michelle Skelding of the punk band Like a Motorcycle here in Halifax, Nova Scotia, Canada. We talked about her growing up, getting started playing in Moncton, New Brunswick, Canada, and getting the band going in the early, I shouldn't say at all the early days of the Halifax music scene, but my own early days of the Halifax music scene in the mid-2000s, 10 to 12 years ago. So we talked about what that was like, kind of her journey from first picking up the instrument, playing violin originally, through being a successful band that now tours internationally, and sort of the little bit of how the sausage gets made in terms of what it's actually like living as a touring musician, playing some of those big shows where it gets a little weirder than, you think you've made it. And then you get to the show and things can go a little bit sideways. Anyhow, this is a fun one. You can check out show notes at learndrums.ca/hitmakers. As always, you can check out Michelle's music at likeamotorcycle.com. All right, let's get into it. Hope you enjoy this one. Thanks for listening. Okay, we're rolling.
Sweet.
Michelle, how you doing?
Pretty good, man. How are you?
Good.
Chicky boo.
Not bad, yeah. There you go. All right. I'm going to hit you with the hard stuff first.
All right. It's nice and casual now. I could light this candle if you want for a little
ambiance.
Yeah, it's pretty good. We got some plants.
Yeah. You got a lot of plants here.
Yeah, my roommates are all about the plants. I did find that one, though. It's like a little bonsai tree.
Yeah.
It's like someone threw it out next door. Wasn't good enough for them.
Really?
Apparently so, yeah.
Throws out a bonsai tree.
I don't know. I think it was on the end of its life, but...
Or they were moving out.
Maybe, mine now. But
right.
My one plant that I didn't kill yet.
Yeah, I bought one plant. I bought a plant at the Superstore like 5 years ago, and I kept it alive for a long time. Because it was one that like you could not water for a week and it'd be okay. Because of that, I wouldn't water it for like a month.
Push the limits.
Yeah, eventually it just died.
Okay, fair enough.
All right.
Can't win them all.
So, the drums. First question to set the scene for everybody. Where are you from? Where'd you grow up?
Moncton.
I thought you were from
Yes.
Moncton. Yeah,
Good old New Brunswick. Yeah.
Yeah.
The armpit of New Brunswick or Canada. I don't know.
The Maritimes.
Maritimes, New Brunswick. Yeah, like the outskirts. So like Saint Philip.
Okay.
Grew up in the sticks a little bit.
I'm not familiar with St. Philip, but I'm from out in the sticks myself.
Yeah, closer to the beach.
Yeah.
But I never would go to the beach, so I'm not a big beach person.
Interesting.
I mean, depending. If there's enough beer and like some joints and shit,
Sure.
I'm good. But
I know that Parley Beach is big in New Brunswick.
yes, yeah, that's close to me.
But with Moncton, I'm more closely associated with like the super muddy river.
Yeah, the Petitcodiac, yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the tidal bore and all that shit, yep.
Yes.
It's a beautiful place.
Beautiful. Moncton, New Brunswick. All right. So, when did you start playing the drums? Why did you start playing the drums? What's your first drum memory?
Drum memory. Well, I don't know. I used to play guitar. Well,
Yeah.
before that, it was violin.
Oh, yeah.
And then I was
Classic.
like,
Whose idea was the violin?
I think my parents just wanted, because I wanted to play an instrument. My brother was playing some piano and saxophone. He was kind of a savant with every instrument. And
he's older?
Yeah, he's a year older.
Okay.
And I wanted to play something. I don't know. I think initially in my head, guitar was the first thought, but violin is a little more classic, I guess, but I fucking hated it. Did it for a year, and you had to do one of those recitals, and you had to wear this like costume. Anyways, it's
what was the costume? I gotta know now.
Like tartan pants and like this red and like something little blouse on top. Like it was pants, which was kind of nice,
Yeah.
But it was just everyone was wearing it, and it's a great instrument. But then eventually, I convinced my parents to get me like a little guitar, and I took lessons for a little bit on that. But
how old would you have been at that time?
I think that was probably like 10.
Okay.
10, 11-ish.
10 is old enough for the guitar. You can be too young for a lot of instruments, but that one is hard to play, right?
Yeah. I had like one of those like junior size ones.
Yeah,
It wasn't probably from like Costco or some shit. Like a no name, whatever, Nevada or something.
Oh yeah, my what was ours? Sovereign.
Yeah.
It was like Sears brand.
Nice, yeah. Yeah, and then stuck with that for a bit, and actually I was in cadets for a little bit, and I started playing the Glock.
Yeah, okay.
And sometimes part of that, like the band camps and shit.
Right.
You had to learn a little bit of snare.
Yeah, of course.
And I was really into like
the marching band.
Yeah,
thing.
I did that for a little bit.
Okay. How'd you end up in the cadets?
Well, it was my brother was doing it actually. I wanted to do a lot of shit he was doing.
Sure, but that's
Figured
like
out,
a classic thing. I'm the oldest in my family, so I didn't have that.
Yeah, everyone just did what you did.
Like,
stole your thunder.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, that's how I ended up in that. I don't know. I'm not. It's weird because I'm not into like getting up early and doing what I'm told and that kind of shit. But
which is kind of the deal. But I remember I wanted to join the cadets when I was a kid because I saw the commercials and it was like doing like obstacle courses. And, marching band.
The cool shit. Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Maybe there was even some guns in the commercial.
Yeah, like wearing a uniform, like kind of a little different than the like recital fiddle uniform, but like yeah. I don't know. There's something about it having to shine your shoes. I don't know.
I wouldn't have been able to stick with it. I think I would have hated it after 2 weeks.
Yeah, well, I did it for like a few years maybe, but I got into the band side a lot. And again, like I said, you have to learn a bit of snare, like a marching band snare kind of.
Yeah. So you learn rudiments and stuff?
So a little bit, yeah. Like that's like the extent of any drum lessons I ever took.
Interesting.
And that was a long time ago when I was 12 probably.
Yeah.
And then I don't know, I quit with the cadets thing because I was in high school, and I actually started a band with some friends, and actually another friend who plays in bands in the city, Isaac. We played in our first band together. But he was in that band with
When
me.
I met you, you were playing in a band with Isaac.
Yeah. My first Halifax band. But this is like grade 10, I think. 11, grade 10, 11. I don't know. I'm old. But
I'm old.
Yeah, so we wanted to start a band, but it was me, 2 girls, and Isaac. And all 3 of us, besides like Isaac was getting to the bass and shit, and like we all played guitar. And we're kind of like, oh, we might need a drummer. Like that might work for this sort of situation. And I was like, well, I have like pretty basic skills, and I've always wanted to like play a drum kit and just kind of get into it.
Sure.
And then I just we just like covered a lot of like the Strokes and like old yeahs and
interesting.
Like,
so this would have been early 2000s then.
Yeah, like fuck math. I was in grade 10, so 16 minus like this 14 years ago maybe.
Yeah. It's funny though, it's there is some kind of, I don't like divide is the wrong word, but like you can tell when I was in high school it was like no effects.
Oh yeah.
It was like Summerside was like NoFX, like that kind of scene, like NoFX, Rancid, Bad Religion, whatever, like
yeah.
skate punk in the 90s. But also like the classic, when I think of Summerside, I think like Misfits, Dead Kennedys, Slayer, Metallica. And those, I think, like from 1980, whatever, through when I left in 2000, were like staple. Dayglow Abortions were a huge band there and seemingly nowhere else.
Yeah.
But it's funny because I feel like I would say younger musicians, like when I run into people, they're like, oh, yeah, that's when I like the Strokes were a big one for people.
Yeah,
in a way that
definitely.
like. To me, it was already like a new thing, like kind of after, because and I was in university by that time. So whatever, I don't know.
Yeah,
that.
Yeah, like Strokes and White Stripes and all that stuff.
Those
like,
are the rock bands of that.
Good
of that
early
time,
Metric when Metric was good.
Metric, I missed Metric. I kind of heard them later on, probably like 06.
Okay, yeah.
Something. Yeah.
Yeah, that was like maybe.
Was
like
that the good? Was that when they were good, or was that when they were like no
I'm
good?
so bad with album dates, album titles,
Sure,
like
whatever.
any kind of use of my memory to remember anything. Not very good, but I'd say around then they were still doing good stuff then. But
Yeah.
you know, if you're a fan of Metric and you still love them, like no hate, but
you know what? I saw them here at the Jazz Festival, and they're a good band. They play live. Like I saw them, and I thought I understand why they're up there on the stage because they can do that job. Not everybody can do that job. These guys can. They've gotten to the point where they can do it. But I didn't care about any of the songs.
yeah, exactly, yeah, forgettable, in a way at this point.
Yeah, even the stuff that I heard on the radio seemed to kind of lack, like whatever that spark is.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, mainstream.
Yeah,
but yeah,
mainstream.
That's how I got into drumming, like in that aspect.
Okay, so you would have been how old? Like high school?
16-ish,
Okay.
I'd say.
Yeah. Where'd you get your first drum kit?
It was like a shitty like off-brand, like it was PV actually. This old PV kit. I remember it was green. You know, like the amps, PV amps.
Yeah.
Yeah, like they had a run of drum kits.
Did it have the spiky logo or the logo where the A is a triangle?
It had. I think it might have had the triangle A.
Yeah, because this is what I remember of PV drums. I remember being in like grade 9 and the PV tour came to Summerside and they played at the Summer Street bar, as it was called at the time, which everybody called Scummer Street who lived there. Right. Yeah,
Street.
Suck it, Scummer Street. But the PV tour came and this drummer was this guy named Bobby Rock, and I had like gotten a free poster of him at my school. And his drums, he played in the band Nelson. I don't know if you remember them. I had to look them up because I was like too young for it. But they were like a LA like hair metal band.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they're like brothers. It's super cheesy. If you look it up on YouTube, it's just like really poppy.
Yeah.
Acoustic guitar, and like one of them's name is Gunner.
Oh my god.
Like, Gunner, we got to write a song, man. He's like, oh, but I'm just looking at this girl in the magazine cover. Well, you can write it for her. And then they write, like, that's the intro to the video. But anyway, this guy, Bobby Rock, plays. And I mean, he was a good drummer. They had this bass player, Bill Dickens, Bill the Buddha of bass.
Oh,
and
man.
He played with Chaka Khan.
Triple B.
And this guitar player named Neil Zaza. Yeah, right. It was like all of them were just like shredders. I went to see the
They all have
BB
like
tour.
powerful rock star names too.
Yeah.
Great stage names.
Yeah, and the Neil Zaza guy, his thing was he would play like guitar, like his hand would like go under the fretboard and then on top of the fretboard.
Oh shit.
And he put it in his lap and played it like a piano at one point, and he like played the start of "Smells Like Teen Spirit," and everybody laughed because it was like so easy.
Yeah.
Never mind that like Kurt Cobain
Was
is
that
a legend.
Never
and
mind. Segue.
Neil Zaza has done. Well, I know he played in Summerside.
I'm sure he's still doing. He's still touring. He's still touring that.
Oh,
shit.
I'm sure he is. I think
he's on the
those
PV
guys-
tour still.
Yeah. Rapping PV. Anyway, that's my PV story.
Yeah.
So, what was the band called?
We were called Drew in high school.
Drew, D-R-E-W?
Yeah, we named it after this kid. It's funny because we just wrote a song in my current band, Like a Motorcycle, about this kid. Because I was telling the story one day, and the band really enjoyed it. And I think Katie had just written like a new riff or something, and I just like threw out some lyrics. But basically, we were a legit garage band. Like we jammed in a garage for about 3 days because a neighbor got really pissed. It was in the summer, and this kind of still makes me angry. Like, it was summertime. We were like jamming, doing a thing.
Your kids.
In the middle of the day, probably. And a neighbor complained about the noise because her daughter was studying, and I was like, "This is fucking bullshit. It's summer. Who the fuck is studying right now?"
Yeah,
she's like making up a lie. Yeah, and destroying like our hopes and dreams, and just like. We could still jam in the basement, but for those like 3 days in that garage.
Yeah, but it's nice.
We were a garage
band.
The
sun in the basement.
Oh man, it was crazy. Yeah. But like all these kids in the neighborhood, because it was like at the guitarist, she lived in like a cul-de-sac or like a suburb area, not a cul-de-sac, but like this neighborhood, lots of houses, and. See, I describe it like that because I grew up in the sticks and like not used to having neighbors.
Right.
But yeah, so these kids would come watch us play because we'd open the garage door, obviously. Yeah. And like this one kid, he just like showed up one day. He's all dressed up in like 5 different costumes, and he's like watching us play. And then we're just like, "What's up?" And he's like, "I'm a fish alligator." And we're just like, "What?" We did that was our reaction. We started laughing. So we're like, "What the fuck?" He's like this 6-year-old kid. And we're like, "What?" And he's like, "Do you find that funny? Well, I'm getting out of here." And he just like ran off. And we're just like, "What was this? What just happened?" Like that whole experience. And later found out that kid's name was Drew because like Hillary's mom knew that neighbor. Okay. Wasn't the same neighbor that called the noise complaint, but like we just were like, "Fuck, we can't think of a name." And we were trying to like enter this battle of the bands, high school battle of the bands. We're like, Drew, let's name it Drew. And actually this past year, I think this kid, Drew, he graduated from high school, and one of the girls who was in my band in high school teaches at his school and told him this story, and he was just like, "What the fuck?" And it was just really cool because, I mean, it was crazy to think it was that long ago, but at the same time, like he had no idea about this whole thing. And then,
do you think it was cool?
Oh, yeah. He definitely thought it was cool. If he didn't think it was cool, then there's something wrong with that kid. But it
seems like there's something right with that kid.
I don't.
The question is, like, did the world beat it out of him?
I don't know, man. And we all quoted him, too. You have that little yearbook write-up in grade 12. We all quoted, like, "You find that funny? I'm getting out of here," in our stupid fucking write-ups. And this kid has no idea, like, what he meant to us. And
the fish alligator. And,
yeah, like, we're going to record that song hopefully for like a motorcycle, and definitely gonna show that kid.
Amazing. It's about him.
It's the story of him. And like that sort of thing. It's a like quick little one minute like river, but it's definitely inspired by this crazy child who will have no idea. Drew, if you're listening to this, give me a shout and I'll give you some royalties to that. No, there's no royalties. None for you.
Yeah, don't call.
Yeah. So
just kidding, Drew.
It's good playing the PV kit.
That is totally cool. Did you guys play? You said you played at the high school.
Yeah, like coffee houses.
Yeah.
Sometimes
you guys had coffee
assemblies.
Houses.
Yeah, we had coffee houses.
How often?
Probably once a month, I'd say.
Good.
We had like student council. I was on student council. I was VP, but my only job was organizing dances in grade 12. And I don't really like to dance now, but back then it's all about, fucking ripping it up on the dance floor. You were into dancing? A little bit, maybe.
Yeah.
I think once I got to like the point where I was organizing them, I had an excuse to not really dance that much, but I did. Well, I was about that life for some reason.
Yeah, well, the dance was a big thing. Even like when we were in high school, it was like an important social thing.
Yeah.
Even if you didn't dance, which I never did, my friends never did, though, we always used to get them to play the Bear song by Green Jello, whatever. It's on the Dumb and Dumber soundtrack. And we would like mosh.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that was
really you flip those dances around.
That was our tune. Yeah, but you'd sit there for an hour and a half until they played it.
Yeah. But yeah, we had a lot of dances and coffee houses, and we'd play covers all the time, and a few originals, which we recorded and put on the internet on, what were those like websites?
MySpace?
No, it wasn't MySpace, although.
Like GeoCities?
Yeah, probably a GeoCities site.
Right.
Yeah, just like the shitty photos and like these shitty recordings. And
some of them are still up there.
Oh yeah,
yours may still be up there.
It's probably still there. I found it a few years back, and it's fun to listen to and hear that and know that it still exists, because we didn't really like record a lot of shit. It wasn't.
Yeah. How did you record?
We had a friend who was in a band from Riverview, and he had like this simple fucking setup, basically like almost just like a voice recorder, like those big, you know what I mean, like the tape and shit. And somehow we made that happen. I don't know.
There's a voice recorder with it, like one of those handheld things.
Yeah, like the
like
big,
the flips
like the
open.
bricks. Yeah,
built-in mic.
Yeah, basically, yeah. And I don't know how he transferred that. It worked, yeah, but he had all this other ways to transfer it over so that we could put it on the internet somehow. I don't know. I'm not tech savvy as it is now, and wasn't back then, but yeah, I don't know how it happened, but we made it happen in that basement, and there's evidence of it. Yeah,
forever. That's cool. We had like, I remember trying to record on a boombox with like a built-in mic with my band, and then you listen back to it, just sounds like.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, it wasn't the best quality,
but you did it.
Made it happen.
It's nice to know somebody who can do that. Did you play? Was there a scene like were there shows outside of school?
Not so much, like all ages wise in Moncton, at least. I mean,
it seems to go in waves.
Yeah, there used to be like a really good music scene though. Like,
well, yeah, because even like bands like Hope, I remember from Moncton, or like
Monine. Is it? Yeah.
They used to play around there a lot. I don't know.
Yeah,
if
I don't know they're
there,
from there, but they used to them.
I know I missed Monine. I'm like too old for Monine. I went to St. FX.
Okay.
And Monine no punk bands ever came there. It was like hippie town. I was so like I didn't know that because everybody listened to punk music at my high school. I just thought that's what everybody listened to who was my age. Right. Then I got there and it was like Fish.
Every jam band, yeah.
Like what is like what you're throwing your lives away? Like it's what I thought about.
It's funny because like most of the people that were a few years older than me, or maybe a couple years that graduated, that I knew were going to St. FX, listen to Fish, and it's
there was a lot hilarious. Of people from Moncton there.
Yeah, I went to St. FX for like a year and a half.
Did you? Did you live in residence?
I did. I lived in Mackaysac Hall.
Nice,
I know.
Too.
And back before they cleaned it up.
Yeah, same.
Yeah. It basically, it didn't go super well. We'll say that. I was there for like a year and a half for figuring out my shit.
Yeah, but that's kind of what I was doing there too. Yeah. And I got in too deep before I realized like I had 3 good years.
Yeah.
But I was there for 5. And like you're midway through your 4th year, like I need to leave. I need to do, but it's like student loans, whatever.
Yeah, that city too, or that town.
Oh, I know. I went back.
It's a lot.
And I was like, we drove up there. I was like, this is like 3 square kilometers. No wonder I was going crazy. Like, on foot, just walking around in circles.
Yeah, you gotta. Lots of green space.
Yeah, that was a spot. Did you play music while you were there?
No, I didn't. Again, like I said, I didn't really take any music lessons. Like no drums. I took a bit of guitar, and all I learned were songs from my guitar teacher for like a few months. And then I learned the basics of that, but never any real drum lessons, which eventually might, I was all about teaching myself.
Well, it's a thing. Like you need to have a reason to take them. I wound up there myself because I was in the school band, and there just happened to be like our junior high had a really good school band teacher, and he would like put on concerts, and it was like there's older kids, they could all play. You'd put bands together, like they could play the drums, they could play the guitar, and it was just like a fun thing to do.
Yeah.
And there's always somebody who is better than me at the drums, so I wanted to get as good as them. Never took a lesson until I was like, time to go do something else. I was like, all I want to do is play music. I didn't really want to go to university, but everybody is like, you do that or like you're a fuck up.
I know
like,
there's that pressure lasted for at least like probably between the time both you and I graduated from high school.
Yeah.
There's that pressure to go to post-secondary. Now it's just like, fuck, who fucking cares?
No,
Started fucking Instagram account or like a shitty YouTube channel and you're going to make your millions kind of shit.
What
you know,
is that?
like,
Do you think it's just that they had to go through a decade of like university graduates not being able to get jobs?
I think they just had those older people who didn't go and they're like wanted a reason to tell people that you won't be successful unless you do this. It's like they needed a point. They needed, I don't know, or they're just trying to make some money for the universities by getting, you know.
But that's a weird one. I don't know why, like, who's making money off of them? Because I know, like, I got there and it was the jazz department, and those guys didn't want people like me there. Like, because there's, that program is 40 people in first year and like 8 people in fourth year.
Yeah.
Because everybody else quit or they failed them out or whatever. And, you know, they're grizzled and they're depressed and they hate their lives because no one cares about jazz.
Yeah.
and meanwhile, people are telling kids, you got to go to university. So people are like, you know, I thought like I'm bettering myself, but also it's just like all I want to do is play music. So whatever, this is the thing I can do. And then so I mean, I wound up like being put through a lot of it, but it also like in terms of what was happening in popular music, I feel like there's like a gap of a few years because it didn't hit right away. But it's like where like you take the jazz detour, and I don't know what the bands were. None of them played there either.
Yeah,
I was like pissed about that because seriously, it's like part of it is like you're getting away. I grew up in the country as it was. You're like getting away from your parents' house, and you're like, I'm gonna go and like do the shit, you know, like do the cool thing, and then you're like, oh. Like, no offense to the Bert Nielsen band or whatever. I didn't care.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's that. That's the jazz rant. All right. Sorry.
The jazz rant.
Yeah. Okay. So you were there for a year and a half. Then what'd you do?
Well, everyone in the band from high school sort of went, like all my friends went to different schools.
Yeah.
I decided to go, but they all went to Halifax to different schools. So they're still like all here talking about Halifax and how great Halifax was and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like...
And you're 2 hours away anyway.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. Well, like I dropped out and then I went back home to Moncton to figure my shit out. And I ended up coming to Halifax and couch surfing for a month.
Yeah, nice.
With some buds. And it's like, fuck, well, I feel like my only way to sort of justify coming here is going to school again. So I applied to Dal and went there for 2 years, taking like every fucking thing I could.
Classic.
And yeah, I took some classics too.
Oh, did you? Did you like it?
I didn't mind it. I was really into like sociology and like just that sort of shit because I do like to watch people and not like watch people.
Sure,
but
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
really into like.
That's like a musician-y kind of thing too. I feel like part of that job is you gotta
read the room. Gotta read the room.
Yeah. Well, and also you're commenting on, you know, human behavior a lot of the time.
Totally, yeah. But while I was there, I caught up with Isaac, who was the bass player in high school.
Yeah.
And we decided to start a band, so we put an ad on Kijiji.
Nice.
We needed a guitar player, and we didn't really like. This is my first like jump into the music scene in Halifax. The only other experiences I really had were I saw a really sweet show at the Pavilion when I was 18. It was the Weaker Thans and the Constantines when they used to tour together all the time.
Yeah, I saw them at
fucking amazing.
Old Reflections.
Nice,
Might have been the same tour.
Probably better than the concrete box on the Commons, but Pavilion,
it was
like
amazing.
Back in the heyday.
I hitchhiked up from St. FX to go to that show.
Yeah, and I just like when I got here, there's all these bars that were still open, and so we had this guy answer the ad. It was Dale, and he's the guitarist, my first band, No Flowers Please. He stood us up. He basically was like, yeah, I'll meet you at Tim Hortons down in Barrington this time Isaac and I went there. He didn't show up. We're like, what the fuck, this asshole? Like, what a piece
and
of shit.
Especially like that Tim Hortons is way
I know. I don't even.
Me at Robin's Donuts in Sackville.
Yeah, man. He knew what he was doing. We were so pissed, and he like gave us a call or emailed us or whatever. And he's like, hey guys, like, so sorry about that. I had this job interview and they like called and had to reschedule and I had to go to it. And we're like, okay, fair enough. Job interview. Cool.
And that's before cell phones probably too.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah. So we rescheduled and showed up again at the same spot. And he was there waiting for us. And we just...
Nice. Did he live down there or something?
He used to live in Dartmouth. So I think it was closer for him.
Yeah, easy to get to.
I was living in like the Henry Street area, Larch Street off of like parallel to like Roby and shit, between Roby and Oxford, that little area. Edward Street, Henry, all the ones that are named after trees and shit.
Yeah. Right.
But eventually I moved down to like the South End for a while, which was stupid. But then we started doing No Flyers Please thing.
Yeah.
At the time, like I had a bunch of fucking instruments. I had like a guitar and I bought in like a Fender Strat at one point because it was kind of a dream to always own like
a
that
real
guitar. It was like this beautiful like wood grain and I had like an acoustic and I had my shitty drum kit and I was like, man, like if I'm gonna start doing this, I need to invest in some decent gear.
Yeah.
So I like ended up selling all that shit to buy. I think it was a Yamaha Gig Maker, like a little jazzy kit. It was pretty small and cute and awesome. Nice. All black. And then we just started doing the No Flyers Please thing for a while. And eventually I joined like a bunch of other bands and just got full into the scene. And, played pretty much everywhere you could play in Halifax, I think, besides everybody's living room. But
yeah, nice. Which is a bunch of different places than there are now, too.
Yeah.
So I remember like first time I saw you guys would have been probably Rockin For Dollars at the old Reflections because we were playing it all the time.
Yeah, us too. It was like our first gig we played.
Yeah, same.
And we won the money that night.
Did you?
Yeah.
I've never won the money. I don't know if I've
Ever?
won it. No, never.
I don't know if this is a true fact, and I'm not trying to be cocky, but I think maybe it has changed because I haven't played there a lot in the last few years, but I held the record for most money won.
Really?
As an individual, because my other bands won too, and it was like close to like $7,000 or something, like crazy shit, man. Like
that is crazy.
Yeah, and
you're like a magnet for it.
Rockin For Dollars was wicked too. It's like full band open mic in this greasy bar.
Oh, amazing.
With the chance to win money.
Yeah, and you could do anything, and you could play as a new band, and you get a pitcher of beer for free.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Like, there's so many good aspects about it. I know, like, I don't want to start rumors or talk, but, like, I just want them to do well at the Seahorse.
Yeah,
and
same.
I think it's in the Seahorse's best interest to stick with that and just to develop the music scene, like, keep that going. Like, the amount of gigs and bands I started or played with or whatever I've met at Rockin For Dollars.
Yeah.
And a lot of bands who, like, not everyone has played it. I get, like, that it can be a certain scene, but, like, also, too, if you got someone who isn't in that scene that just came to play it, they'd be comfortable. They would,
absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like, it's a good community. Like,
anybody
that's what they want. That's what they want. They want anyone to fucking play. Like, it doesn't matter the genre of music. Like,
no, it doesn't. And like, everybody has seen sort of the bands who don't know where they are or who are just like, they stick it. Because you can tell, like, there are people who are there every week. And then there are people who, like, go because maybe they want to win some money or they just want to get on stage or whatever. And I've done that too.
Oh, man, I know
put
plenty
together
of people.
bands for, like, we had one called Rent the Band. And so it was just me and my roommates trying to win money to pay our rent.
Yeah.
And we didn't.
Yeah,
but
that's
whatever.
Gambling for you, though,
Yeah, that's right.
But yeah, I know a ton of people who just would make a band the week of.
Yeah, just to play.
Which
and
is,
you could.
Yeah.
And that's part of the fun of it, too, because when you go, it's like you get to see something that only exists for that show.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And, like, I learned a lot of lessons from it, too, like how to set your shit up really quickly and tear it down really quickly. And that skill alone, out of everything I've learned from there, which is like a lot of playing with shitty sound or playing in front of nobody or like, getting your stage presence.
Rolling with sketchy gear as a drummer,
yeah,
too.
totally, man. But the main thing I got was being able to set up my drums or pack it up as quickly as I fucking can. Because the amount of times you play a gig and you're on a schedule and they're inevitably going to be behind, or they need you to rush, or they need something. Like, if I've taken anything that has done me as good as that.
10
just,
totally. 10-minute changeovers.
Seriously.
You have to wait for the other person you gotta wait for the other person to tear down, then get out of the way, then you gotta get up there, and there's like people in front of you. You gotta climb over everything.
Yeah. And if you're not used to it, you see, again, you can see that shit at Rockin For Dollars too, like bands that are playing for the first time.
Oh, yeah, they have no idea.
Setting their shit up, and that eats into your time, bitch, and you gotta fucking go. But, inevitably, Rockin For Dollars is always like an hour behind by the end of it anyways.
Oh, yeah.
But like they allow for that shit. But yeah, that was just, that was a pretty big part of the scene for me. Just starting off and shit. But yeah, like I miss a lot of bars that have closed. Michael's is a rare sort of gem that
Michael's
never really, I don't think it reached its full potential.
No, I don't think it did either. Like for what the room was, and part of it was
exactly, that was the main thing.
Yeah,
the room was amazing.
Yeah, and again, like not to start rumors, but part of the reason was the vibe that like there was certainly like bands have felt unwanted there from time to time.
Oh yeah. There were some bounce issues. I'll fucking I'll get into that shit, man. I'm not afraid.
I've never had it personally, except for they're just like, nobody cares that you're there. Like that's as bad as it got for me.
Okay.
I know other people have had problems being kicked out and like blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. It was weird. It was a weird room to fill, mostly because it was on Yonge, and it was just disappointing because it was such a good room. If that was Gus's, where Gus's is, instead of, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like Gus Pub, great, but like
stage,
could
the
you
huge
imagine?
Room.
Could you imagine? It would be like a major venue. It would be something that...
I know. It's weird that they had that room and it seemed like they didn't know what to do with it, or they didn't want anyone to use it, or I don't know what they were thinking.
The first time I ever went to Michael's when it was around was for a karaoke night with Lori the Guy. It was a perfect karaoke stage for all of his crazy antics, but like, there's pool tables and VLTs and like this random stage with fences around it, and it's kind of like square dancing. I don't know. What was the main gig for that place?
I don't know. I have no idea, because it was built to be like, it looks like it was built to be a venue, because they had the stage, they had the dance floor.
But then you'd have to walk through an entire restaurant to the back of the restaurant.
Weird, like diner. I've never
It's like,
I remember when shows started happening there. You're like, really, Michael's?
Yeah,
like that place?
totally.
I used to take the 80 all the time, like going to and from work, and you go past there, and it just looks like a diner in a strip mall.
Yeah, I used to work at Steak and Stein.
Oh, did you?
Way back. Right when they were first starting to do that. But all my coworkers would go for karaoke, and I went there one night. I was like, man, this would be such a good spot to play. But I didn't realize the vibe just wouldn't be there at all.
Well, how could you realize that?
Yeah. It was just such a big room. You walk into this huge room at the back of this fucking shitty restaurant, and just weird,
I used to think that also about the Frigate.
Remember
that place?
Yeah, totally.
Like, it would be cool if it was cool, if like there's, for some reason, nobody used that room.
No, because it's like you feel like you're on a ship, like a boat. It's legit, like a...
Totally, but that's kind of funny. Like you could make that work. There's a place in Dartmouth right now that also is like that. Like you go on and it's like a boat.
Oh, really?
And there's a stage there, and I don't know what they ever do with it. What's it called? It's like the Ship Tavern or something.
I should hope that it's a play on a boat term.
Yeah,
I should hope.
But it is like there's like rigging around the bar, like ropes and whatever.
Legit.
Yeah.
Yeah, then Tribeca too. That was good.
Yeah, totally. Tribeca
was...
The Attic, Gingers.
Yeah. Oh, Gingers, yeah. Fuck.
Yeah. We used to play at the North End Tavern, which burned down.
Yeah. Isn't that like Midtown now, or no?
No,
that's not the same thing.
I don't even know where it was. I think it was on Gottingen, but it was like before I really knew where anything was in Halifax.
Right.
I just remember being in that kind of area.
Mm. Yeah, Ginger's, I got a chance to play there.
Yeah, I
couple
played there
times.
once or twice.
They have a lot of issues with the lights going out on the
Really?
stage. Yeah, we had that happen a couple times, and they'd have to fuck with the shit. But we keep playing because everything else still worked. It was just the lights.
Yeah. It's kind of a weird room, too, because you felt like you couldn't be too loud in there.
Yeah, totally, yeah. Which is not very...
It's not very fun.
When you got to hold back like that, it kind of... I don't know. It's hard. I've had so many times where not so many. I don't want to say that. I'm exaggerating. A few times where you have to put tape on your cymbals when you play live.
Yeah, right.
Is one of the hardest things for me.
That's like funny. I've never, I don't know if I've ever done that, and I just have never thought to do it.
Yeah, like I don't want to, but there was a couple of times. There's one time in Germany, actually. We were on like the end of the tour of the Stanfields in this pretty big room, which I thought would have been fine for that, but I had to tape them up so much that I'd literally just be hitting them and there'd be nothing.
Really?
And I got so frustrated. Like you could hear them, but I couldn't hear them basically.
Yeah.
When we were like all playing together.
Because they don't do what you want them to then. The whole thing about
and
the
they don't resonate at all
vibrates.
either. And it's like there's nothing there like to fill it in. And I just like the whole gig. I got so fucking pissed. Yeah. Like I was just really frustrated because like it was so different. And I was just hitting them so fucking hard. And then by like the last few songs, I was like, fuck it. And I just ripped the tape off. I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. And I just like played the rest of the set without the tape. But like, it's crazy. No, I mean, like, I feel like at that point, everyone's ears were a little fucked anyways from the beginning of the show.
Right.
Of us playing. But
what was the venue like? Why did you have to keep it so quiet?
I don't know. I don't understand. Like, it was a really high stage.
Yeah.
And it was pretty small though, because I remember the Stanfields, like all those guys on stage, like had to squish together a little bit.
Mm-hmm. This was like 6
but
of
like,
them?
Yeah, I think 1, 2, 3, 5.
5.
Yeah.
Still enough on a small stage.
And like the room wasn't super full, but it was pretty like far back.
Right.
It wasn't soundproofed really at all. It's like, they just had acoustic shit there probably for a while. It's like...
Yeah.
And just decided to have louder bands, and the sound guy couldn't really do anything. And
it's weird when they decide that, though.
Yeah.
You know what your venue is.
Yeah, totally. But lesson learned.
Yeah, the one time that I went to Germany, we played at one place. It was a club. That was fine. But I think I might have taped the cymbals at the other one because it was... like a small kind of bar. I don't think it was normally a venue. We played, this was a concrete room, and we played in front of a glass wall.
Was it fucking downtown Club 1668?
No. Oh, yeah.
Remember?
That place God. I never played there. I've been drunk there.
Shit. Oh, fuck.
Have you played there?
Oh, yeah. A couple times.
1668.
Yeah. I was in a band, though, too, with these dudes, and there's this woman who worked at the bar, this cougar. They called her because she was just this hot older lady, and the only reason they wanted to play there is to try and like flirt with this lady. And it's like, you guys have no chance. I'm sorry, but not No Fire Squeeze, another band I won't mention. But
that's so funny.
I was just thinking too about situations, and we both experienced this when we did that backlot bash thing.
Yeah.
And with USS, and they had a kit. And their stage manager wouldn't let us move.
Wouldn't let anybody adjust anything.
They wouldn't let us move the cymbals.
Yeah. The snare, like,
Nothing.
I'm like a foot taller than that
Dude,
drummer.
I know. And I got up there and I was like, I have to fucking sing. I can't reach anything.
Yeah, especially that. Because I can, like, I sit back there and I'll, like, grumble about it. But whatever, you play through it. I had a bruise on the inside of my leg from my snare hand. Just I was, like, punching myself in the leg for
It was just so
40
fucked.
Minutes.
Because he's like, yeah, you can use everything, but don't move it. And I was like, how they have like stage people, like you have enough
put
crew.
memory locks in the fucking drums.
Yeah, like fuck you.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, this is our stuff. We're letting everybody use it. We're like being cool about it. Like there's a Long McQuaid sticker right on it. I know you flew in from Toronto. You rented this drum kit.
Yeah.
It's not your stuff.
What the fuck are you getting at too?
Yeah, and it's a fucking backline.
Yeah, I'll use my own shit if you're gonna be a baby about it, but like...
And nobody told us to do that. They had plenty of time to advance the show.
Exactly,
Nobody said bring a drum kit because USS doesn't want anyone using theirs.
Yeah, it was just so... I've never, ever had anyone ever tell me that I couldn't move anything.
Ever.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like anything. It's like that. It's like playing a fucking guitar and the guitar strap has the guitar past your knees and you can't reach it. It's like this, it just like, it was just so fucking weird.
It was so weird. Yeah.
But yeah, that just popped in my head because we both like had that experience that day and we were just like, what the fuck? This
That
is
was
like
a weird show all around.
Yeah, agreed. Who else played that?
Town Heroes,
us, you guys, and USS. Yeah,
that might have been it. Yeah.
I think just the 4.
Yeah.
4 years ago or something, maybe.
Was it that long? I don't think
Maybe
it was that long.
Three.
Yeah, it might have been 3. I was there.
Yeah.
Like last week, and I saw the poster for it on the wall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like, cool to play that gig, but
anytime to play on a big stage like that. So it's like always cool to get to do that.
Yeah.
But I know, like when we went on, we got up and we're still setting up, and the MC comes out. He's like, "All right, everybody, glory, glory." We're like still in the middle of setting up. They kill the house music, and we're just now we got to scramble. It's like.
Rush.
Yeah, you could have given it a couple minutes, dude.
Where those Rockin For Dollars skills come in handy.
Yep.
I'm telling you, man.
Truth.
But yeah.
Because you got to roll with it. And that is one thing that you know, it's the thing you learn is like, nobody in the audience knows that guy wasn't supposed to come up yet.
Yeah.
Like
exactly,
you just got to roll with it and you got to be pro. We also, I remember this, had to borrow your bass.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Luckily, Kim was there because Gavin broke his string.
Yeah. That was a really run.
Yeah, I got a picture of him playing it.
Man, that was quite the day. Katie was hungover as shit. She had like her pedal box, like the case for her pedal board, which is just a suitcase over to the side of the stage just in case she had to puke. We have this thing where we'll have a show coming up.
Yeah.
And the night before, we'll get fucked up. Or we'll just like drink too many beer at a jam and like get carried away. Is that on purpose
or it just happens?
No, it just happens because it's like it's almost like we missed the day.
Yeah,
you know, it just happened. It's happened so many times. And the next day, everyone's just like hungover, just not feeling the best. And it's like, okay, we got to move our shit. and then you play the gig, and then the next day you're kind of fucking tired too, and you're like, okay, we got to go pick up our shit, and it's like,
well, that's the worst because you want it to be over. You know, you never want to move it.
Oh my god, the day after, I know, and then
I was so wasted.
The day after, you're just like, fuck, why didn't I move this last night? I wouldn't have had to get out of bed. But the night before, it's like the same
you're
fucking
not gonna carry it home.
Tale as old as time, right?
True. Every band.
Oh man, yeah.
Okay, so like a motorcycle, how did it start?
Well, Kim and Jill, who's a former member now, they started a thing together where they actually both played the opposite instruments. I think Kim played guitar and Jill played bass. And then at one point they were just like, this is stupid. Like, these are not our instruments. Let's switch. And we need a drummer.
Were they doing it like to try out the opposite
instruments? I think so.
Like, yeah.
I think, or they both could play them both.
Yeah.
But they hadn't figured out which one that they were really going to excel at, I guess.
Right.
Or that would just, I don't know how.
Yeah.
I wasn't like there for this magic moment, but that's the story I was told. And they were doing some things in other bands, I think. And they asked me.
Were you playing in other bands at that time?
Yeah, I was in 3 other bands at that time. I was in No Flyers Please, Numbered Head, and this band with Isaac.
I forgot about that.
Yeah. Oh, God. And this other band called the Thetans.
Called what?
The Thetans.
Okay.
It's like a Scientology term.
Right, yeah.
For the spirits that...
And that's what you use the meter to read, right?
Yeah. See how many Thetans you have or some shit. I don't know. And they were all kind of like, well, No Flyers Please at the time was my main kind of thing. And the other 2 were like side projects, but things I was doing different stuff in. So, was stretching myself a little thin creatively, maybe. You know, when you're in multiple bands, you're like, oh, I want to save this for this band, or like, oh,
yeah,
maybe.
Kind of.
And you feel bad because you're like, I don't want to hold back, but this might work better. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I also don't want to waste it.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you never know, and it's kind of hard sometimes. But at the same time, it's great because you're fully immersed in what you're you like doing?
Yeah, I find like the side projects often like there's a shelf life.
Yeah.
There's like I'll have I mean for 10 years it was one band, so everything else was a side project, and I would do it for a while, and it's like kind of fun if you know that it's a short-term thing.
Yeah.
If it's not a short-term thing, I eventually seem to find it out. Like, and not even on purpose, but it's just like, well, you kind of, I wind up getting like, I'm tired of playing drums. So then I stop doing it.
Yeah. That makes sense though. But yeah, so I was doing all those things and they asked me, it's like, man, I don't know, like I'm pretty busy.
Yeah.
It's like I have 3 bands, I have to work. I was seeing someone at the time. I was like, I need to like, think about it, but maybe let's jam and see what's up. And then we jammed, and at the time I had the jam spot in my basement, and that's always like a key factor when it comes to wanting to jam sometimes, because it's like, oh, I can just roll out of bed and fucking walk downstairs, and you all come to me,
especially on the drums.
Yeah.
You have to move anything.
Oh my God,
you don't set anything up.
Totally, yeah. It's ready to go.
Yeah.
But yeah, we jammed, and I really enjoyed what we were doing, and they were sort of pushing me to sing a little more, because I was starting to write and sing in No Flyers Please, but not as much. Like, so Dale was a really good songwriter, and so was Isaac, and I just kind of let them.
Sure, of course, because they don't need other input.
Yeah,
what happens,
and then like,
no one's telling you not to do it, but also nobody is like, oh man, we don't have any songs.
Like shit, we don't have any songs.
Yeah,
yeah, and I was like learning to like fit backups in, or like sort of just how to use my voice
in that band.
Yeah,
and like you guys would even switch off vocals for parts of songs, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. So like, the drum singing
it's
thing,
like he's so masculine. Or something.
It's just called Masculine. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So
you sang that one though, didn't you?
Yeah, that was like the first song I sang while playing drums. The first song I sort of wrote officially in that context. I
always love that song. I thought it was so.
People really liked it too. I don't know why. It's pretty cheesy.
Funny. It's like kind of snotty, but it's also fun.
Yeah, riddled with innuendos and just kind of the way I talked at the time, I guess maybe. But I don't know. It was fun, and I threw like a disco beat in there.
Yeah, totally.
And I really liked that, and.
Well, and that worked with that band too. It seemed like everybody was into that kind of thing.
Yeah, they're pretty like quirky. Like, Dale's. Talking Heads to me.
Yeah, and like Cake.
Yes, and like Isaac's really into like Ween and like Primus and like, you know what I mean? Really? Like there's all this.
Players like Primus.
Yeah, of course they do. But yeah, it was like a quirky band, and we always kind of got that. But like, the more I started to sing and like get comfortable with that, because like I did sing in Numbered Head, but it was just that, like just being a front person, writing and getting into that whole shit. And the Thetans, I just played drums and like backed up that band. This
was a thing I wanted to ask you about, because something that's come up, having had a couple of these conversations, whatever, is that like, the drums are often a very different role from being the lead singer. You do both.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so part of my question is like, how does the writing happen?
Well, with Like a Motorcycle specifically, we all kind of collaborate a lot.
Yeah.
More now than we ever did before, especially like with Dave, because he's still kind of new. He's been in the band for maybe just over a year.
Right.
Just over a year.
I guess he replaced somebody who was in the band from the beginning.
Yeah, Jill,
and he's now the new guy.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, right.
But like in the beginning, like Kim had a lot of songs and Jill had a few songs, and then I was sort of starting to write a few things too.
Yeah, so sorry, I'm skipping ahead here.
Yeah,
so, okay.
Basically like, it's, in the beginning it would be like if someone wrote a song, they'd just be like, oh, well, you're going to sing it. And I'd be like, okay. And then I'll sort of figure out a melody, or like I'll take out certain words. I had a habit of doing that, like basically making phrases a little easier to say.
Gotcha.
Like worded a little better, maybe, without changing a lot.
Yeah.
And that was cool, and I was really pumped that they trusted me with songs that they wrote, and then
cool.
It made me more comfortable to throw in lyrics that I wrote, and
Sure,
it was always pretty collaborative. And now it's like, well, Katie too, like she's an amazing songwriter, and like we all come to the table with stuff we have, and we try and make it work. And we're getting to a point where we're comfortable where if we really don't like something, not getting feelings hurt. Because I find when you're in a band, unless you have one person who's just writing all your shit, which is cool, but collaborating in a way is a little more difficult because you have to be ready to be like, okay, like you don't like this.
Yeah, you got to be ready
or,
to have not.
I don't like that.
Yeah.
You know, it's almost a little harder to say that you don't like something than to be like, okay, no, we won't do the thing I suggested. You know what I mean?
It is harder because then you got to have that conversation, and people do get their feelings hurt.
Yeah,
and then it's also like, you know, as I don't like when my ideas get shot down.
Oh man, nobody does. Nobody does. Especially because you put yourself out there. And you're like, I'm vulnerable. Don't hate me. Why don't you love me?
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah. But it's good to kind of experience that and be okay with it because, you know, you're all looking out for the better of the song and blah, 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 all that bullshit. But at the same time, it's like good to just be like, okay, you have this suggestion. Let's try it. If it doesn't work, I have a suggestion, blah, 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 kind of shit.
I mean, open to that, and that can lead to, you know, on the positive side, you get stuff that you never would have thought of on your own.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
On the negative side, you're like, oh, but this, I like this thing.
You really, something happened to you. Something happened to you, didn't it, with a song? They didn't let you write it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
But anyways, yeah, it's a lot of us. We do a lot of the stuff together. Sometimes someone will write like a whole song though and lyrics, and we'll just go with that or whatever. Yeah. But
cool,
you know, or if there's like a beat or like just hits or like accents someone really wants to hear, obviously we'll be like, well, fuck you. What's wrong with what I just wrote? But yes, let's try it, kind of thing. But
that's interesting in terms of like what the band sounds like. I would say just because it is sort of like there's a washiness to there's like a lot of parts going on that are working together as opposed to like everybody's playing the same riff or something.
Yeah, totally. That's like, I think that was a big thing in the beginning too, because the way Kim plays bass, she doesn't do a lot of root notes. She doesn't like stick in with, you know, backing up what the guitar is playing a lot. And like, a lot of people are like, why don't you just play those bass notes and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, well, this sounds better. This is what we want to do with it, I guess, or what she thought sounded good, and it's working for us. And now with like Dave in the band, like he's a fucking ripper. Like, holy shit. It's crazy.
Totally.
But yeah, and
it also, like, to me, the sound kind of like spills over to like how the band like physically is on stage. It's also not like you're standing still.
Yeah.
I mean, as a drummer, you're kind of stuck where you are.
Oh man, yeah. I get so much like envy sometimes when I'm just like, it's good though, because I have a really good view. Like I get like a good perspective. And I try, like, we have a stage plot where we like to do 4 across. And a lot of that is based on the fact that I'm singing so much, and I'd rather have the use of the 4 monitors up front than like a side wedge to my left, destroying this ear because I'm too poor to buy in-ears at this point. But
you can finance them.
We'll see. We'll see. I'm like 2 months late on my payment. But having like I'll have my wedge in front of me, and then I'll have usually a guitar over here, and then bass and the other guitar. And like it just, for some reason, when the amps are behind me and those are in front of me, like the monitors, I can hear the vocals a little better, and I can hear the music. It just, I don't know, maybe I've already destroyed the hearing in this ear to the point that I can't hear properly with the wedge to my left, but like it just, and I also like I'm up there with them, you know?
Like, it doesn't feel like there's nothing else that you only hear on one side.
Exactly. Exactly.
You have 2 ears for a reason.
Yeah. Yeah. And they're just trying to push it all through one, and like everyone else gets something in front of them. It's just kind of like, I know there's a lot of, I'm putting out a lot of noise, but like, you know, I want to hear everything. Yeah, and definitely. I hate being pushed back in the back of the stage too, especially where like I'm singing a lot, because I like to really look at people. Yeah. Like I love doing some good eye contact, and a lot of people say, they're like, you're singing every fucking song. Why are you in the back? Like, what's going on? And I was like, well, I mean, circumstances. I get
That's
it.
how the traditional setup is. But
Exactly.
there is something a little bit that can be a little bit weird about the person in the back singing, just because you're not used to seeing it. Like
Yeah.
that role people traditionally associate with the person up front with the microphone or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that having the drums up front makes sense that way. However, that can be tough to accommodate too. Like if
Yeah.
you're playing on a bill with a bunch of other bands, it's hard to accommodate your setup. I've done the side stage setup.
Yeah.
I like it. Often though, if you're showing up and you're not setting up the stage.
Oh yeah, it's super rare. It's rare we get it, unless we're like opening for a band that's using their own backline.
Yep.
Which I'm like, sweet. We
can do
it, but it's pretty rare.
Bigger bands
get
to do it. Like even Deerhoof sets up, all across the front, or like Fish. I think did that. I was never
keep bringing up Fish. Yeah.
Yeah, I was never a Fish head, but
neither was I. No. But
too boring, right? Like not enough distortion, not punchy enough, whatever.
I'm not into jam bands.
Yeah. I'm not either. Really. I know there's a time when I thought I was.
To each his own,
Sure, whatever.
I'm a band and I jam, but Led Zeppelin, ooh.
Yeah. How long have you been playing with them now?
Almost 6 years, I think.
Yeah.
Kim and I are like the only original two out of the three, but
because it was a three-piece for a while.
Yeah, and then we wanted to be louder, and Katie, who's the other guitar player, she was in a couple bands and just was just perfect for what we're going for.
Yeah, totally. Like the sound and the vibe too.
And like when she joined, I was right before we recorded our first full length. It definitely changed our sound a little bit.
Yeah.
In like the best way ever. And like
cool.
She does a lot of writing and like is super into like recording. And so it's cool now because we got another new member. Yeah. Not that, it's like, let's get a new member every year or every time we want to write a new album, but like his sound has changed us again to something totally different and kind of, well, not totally different, but like, you know what I mean? There's like a different vibe when you get a new member. There's a different thing.
Yeah. Everybody brings their own energy and ideas for sure, and then on top of that their own sound,
and their own fucking attitudes and shit.
Totally.
But like he has a lot of experience, and I like what he plays, and I'm into what he's bringing to the band.
Cool.
And what everyone kind of brings to the band, I guess. But
I've seen you guys play a couple of times with Dave, but I certainly would not have the familiarity that you do with how he plays. How long has this current lineup of the band been around?
I think just over a year.
Yeah, I would say first time I saw you guys play would have been Cold Smoke last year, maybe.
I think that was like in January.
Yeah,
because we asked him like 2 months before we were going on that tour in Germany with the Stands for the 10 dates. We're like, hey, like we need a guitar player. We have a show on the 12th at the Seahorse, and then we're going to Germany for 2 weeks.
That's
what do you think? And he's like, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
It was kind of like, I don't know.
Was he playing in a band at the time? Like, is Glory Hound done?
Yeah, they just so happened to be finishing like right around the time that we asked him.
Right.
Like it sort of lined up perfectly. Not that I don't think he would have like quit Glory Hound and joined like a motorcycle by any means, but like it kind of worked out in a nice way because
it makes it easier. There's no conflict.
We got the full use of him basically in that sort of I don't know.
Well, what musician is going to turn down an offer of a German tour?
Well, yeah, and it was also too. It wasn't like, you have to be in our band. It's like, would you want to try to do this with us for a bit and see what happens? Because we didn't really know him that well.
Sure.
I've known him in the scene and Glory Hound and shit. Like I've seen him play, seen him party, but like I've never really known him as well as I do now, obviously.
No, I know. I would say I know like Dave's a nice guy.
Yeah.
I know him to like kind of chat, but that's
he's amazing. He's a great guy. Cool. And like I think we were driving on the way to halfway through the tour in Germany on the way to a show in Dresden maybe, and John, our manager, was in the van with the four of us because we just all had to drink on the Autobahn because you can drink in the back of cars.
Oh yeah,
while you're driving
like on the sidewalks in Germany because you can.
Yeah,
you're like, and I was like, I remember
insane.
like walking on the street with a beer and you're like, the cop's gonna come around the corner though, right?
Totally. You're like, fuck. And they only have one rule. They're like, no glass bottles on the weekend. So it's like, okay, that's fine. Let's get cans. But like, we were just drinking in the back of the van while John was driving, and Dave was in the front seat. Yeah, John Landry. Yeah. And Dave was like, you know what, guys? I think I want to be in this band. And because like at that point we were like, he is so good for us. Sweet. We want to have him, but we weren't going to like pressure him in any way. But it was his official, like, I don't know, saying to us that, like I'd really like to commit to this. And like John was driving and he's like, oh, it's just such a good moment. And it's like tear streaming down his cheek. And it was just it was a nice moment.
Those aren't sentiments I would necessarily associate with like a motorcycle.
No, we're big old soft. No, we're fucking assholes. That's like it. That's the only tearjerker you'll get, as far as I know.
That's it. The dirt.
We fucking hate each other. Anyways, beyond that,
you kind of can't help it.
Well, they like beat the shit out of each other when we're playing. Like I have the safety of my drum kit to protect me. Every once in a while, Kata will take like a swipe and try and jump on the bass drum. And I'm like, fuck, here she comes. She's going to come flying into me because like one of these days, this bass drum is going to fucking give out because everyone's jumping on it now, which I'm totally fine with. But they're just like running around the stage and fucking kicking each other and pulling each other's hair and like smashing guitars together.
Yeah.
It's great.
Is that about just like getting caught up, like going crazy? Or is it do you think it's ever like, fuck you?
I don't know. They don't tell me everything, so
right.
I could be missing something.
We
but
can only speculate.
It's all about the energy, right?
Yep.
They just channeled all their road rage and all of their fucking hate for customer service jobs into one big fucking...
But it's also like that is part of what makes the band exciting to watch, certainly.
Yeah. It's hard though. Sometimes if there's, we've all played our gigs to nobody.
Like, or were you not really feeling it?
Or and it's like hard to really get that shit out sometimes and make it like real, I guess.
Yeah, right.
Like you're not just putting it on. Like, I don't know. I mean, like they always rip it up. Like we're always going to play the tunes and feel it. I don't know. Sometimes I don't know if this happens to you, but I'll be feeling like shit right before we play a gig. Like shit. Like I'm going to fucking shit my pants or something or puke or whatever. And then as soon as you start playing, like you're good. It's like the adrenaline sort of takes over.
Totally.
And it's crazy.
Or it's like, I'm depressed. I hate everyone I know. I just want to like fall or like, crawl into the back of the van and like sleep for the rest of my life or whatever. Yeah. And then you play and then afterwards I'm like wide awake. I can't. I'm chatty. I'm just like jumping up and down.
Yeah, you're ready to go. Yeah. It's pretty nuts. I don't know how that works, but I know it's a good thing. So
I mean, I think part of it for me anyway, I don't know. It's like playing music is the thing that I like to do. It makes me happy when I do it. Part of it is like it's the same thing as you get when you work out, like endorphins or whatever.
Yeah.
So I think the drums, I don't know, I sweat a lot.
That is like my workout, actually. Yeah. So it's the only way I work out.
Yeah. So there's that part of it. But I think also it's like sitting around in a van or sitting around in a bar waiting to play. Yeah. It's like that's not
the anxiety
what anybody likes to do.
Yeah. It's the only time you're not anxious is when you're playing.
Yeah, kind of, right? Because you're not waiting to do that thing. And also, it's like you just can't focus on anything else.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. How many times have you been to Germany? Seems like your band plays there.
We were on a good run for a bit. We 3 times. No, we went. The first time we went to Hamburg was for the Reeperbahn Festival, and we were there for like a week. And
how was that?
It was crazy. That was like our first experience with being able to drink beer on the streets. And
I've been to Cologne. We played a festival there.
Oh, Cologne. Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Beautiful. So cool. That cathedral.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy.
Yeah. And like, I've never really traveled a lot. Like, I've been to the States and like Canada and stuff. Like, I wasn't big for vacations.
The year before we did that.
I got it like a month before we left.
Yeah.
Like 2 years ago, maybe. No, like a year and a half ago. And like I went to Germany and Cologne and like all those German cities. And then we did Poland that first tour in Germany.
Cool.
Poland I didn't really care for that much.
It
There's
seems
just a
depressing.
tone. It is depressing. There's a lot of like shit going on with rights, especially like women's rights and shit like that. And I don't know, just maybe it's the accent or the tone that the people speak in, but like I just thought everyone was yelling at me, and I was like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to be here anymore.
Yeah.
And we just played one show, and it was like an industry showcase almost. Like it was mostly people for us to talk to. We did meet some pretty cool people while we were there, but it just wasn't really. I also like that night, it was my 30th birthday, and we were playing a show in Cologne, and it was okay. It was all right to spend that celebration in Poland, but Warsaw is a cool city. Again, I'm just like going somewhere. Like I'm not a big sightseer. I don't want to do that on tour. I don't.
I love doing that.
If I stumble upon it, or if I have like a day off and it's there, like it's cool, but like I don't really have like that big of a desire to like seek out things. I really like going to bars and meeting people in that city. Like I think when we were in Hamburg, we went to this burlesque bar, and it was so fucking cool. And we saw this show, and they're just these amazing performers, and we just like met all these people and did a lot of shots, and like just kind of, I don't know, a lot of like German places too. So many people speak English like so well. It's like you go to practice. Not that I learned a lot of German, but I tried to like get by a little bit.
I knew like Dankeschön, Bitteschön.
Yeah, Guten Morgen.
Don't know that one.
Guten Tag. Wasser.
Guten Tag means good day.
I think so. There's one that's like afternoon, day, night. I don't know. I didn't learn as much. Katie and Kim tried to learn a bunch, but it just all went to shit when we got there and talked to a total stranger and they spoke perfect English. It's like how they're just everyone.
Oh, everyone speaks English.
Like they speak it, not like perfect English, but they can understand
you can get by
better than me trying to use my German.
Oh, I know, because it's like you realize that's just impossible. Like, and it's funny because some of the words you can figure out. Like you look at the sandwich shop and there's schinken.
Yeah.
And there's fish.
Yeah.
You're like, I know what those are.
Exactly, yeah.
But there's other things where you just, I have no idea.
Totally, yeah. Says. Yeah, we went to Estonia for Tallinn Music Week. Mm-hmm. That was pretty cool. It was an interesting place. A lot of history and cool stuff. Like, again, I'm not a big sightseer, but we had this girl who was kind of like our babysitter in a way. Mm-hmm. And she just knew so much about the city. So every time we'd walk back to the hotel and shit, she'd just tell us about stuff. And that's what I like kind of that. And then she took us to this like speakeasy a couple days later, and it was just like that. So we're like, yeah, fuck
the
this.
Real thing.
Where you're like smoking in the smoking room in the back room, and like it was just a really cool experience. And yeah, just traveling. Like probably wouldn't have done this if I wasn't in the band. So I chalk it all up to being in high school and needing to find a drummer. You know?
Kind of, right? Isn't that interesting? That's what I found too. It's like I kind of got to a point where it's like, I've been doing this for 8 years. We don't make any money. But then you get to play a cool show and you're like, I would not have done this otherwise. I wouldn't be here.
Exactly. Yeah. Totally. If I make that argument to myself when I have no money in my bank account because I can't get a real job because I need to tour all the time. Yeah. Then I'll justify it.
Yeah. But do you want a real job?
No, I don't. I'd rather.
I don't either.
I'd rather live paycheck to paycheck. Come on. Fuck that.
Well, it's not that I think, I would take the money of a real job. No question. Somebody wanted to give me, somebody wanted to give me $60,000 a year to do what I currently do. Yep. I would quit my job at the coffee shop and be totally happy. But if I had to work 9 to 5 in an office to do that, I'm looking for ways around it. It can be really depressing. Like, I don't know about you, but I become really depressed, and so I become like surly and like unpleasant to deal with.
Yeah, I get there. I get there too. I just recently quit my job that I was at for a long time, so it was at the point where I didn't give a shit about anything. It's
Congrats.
Like, I hate going here. I hate doing this job. It's been too long. You just need to make those changes. And
Did you
it
find
work.
now that was a thing? Like, did you save up some money and you're like, it's the right time, or did you just decide
No, I'm not
doing this anymore? I can't do that either.
I'm not a planner, and
No, me either.
I like to take risks, so
Yeah.
let's see what happens. But
I do too. I wish I was a planner in some ways. Like, I would save myself a lot of trouble.
oh
But
fuck yeah, you would. So
I know,
would
but you find you need to.
Where's the fun in that? You don't get to be stressed at all if you plan. Who
I
wants
hate
that
the
shit?
stress, but I feel like I need to learn by fucking something up. Like, that's
Yeah.
how I learn.
Yeah, pretty much.
They're like, okay, well, don't do that, and here's why you don't do that. But I'm never just going to listen to somebody who says don't do it.
Yeah. I mean, you could stay at a job because you're comfortable and it works around your schedule of jamming every couple days, but it was sucking my soul. And I think if it gets to that point, you just need to put all that other shit behind, right?
Yeah, well, because it also
You'll fucking figure it out. I'll figure it out. I mean,
yeah, I know you're not going to die.
I'm not gonna die.
No, you're not going to starve. You're whatever. But I also find, like, I don't know, even I was working, slinging coffee today, and this guy asked me for a recommendation on a full-bodied, low-acidity medium roast. Like, I wish I could tell you, man. I can't. Your guess is as good as mine. But, I mean, you're perfectly right to assume that I would know that.
Yeah.
But meanwhile, I'm like, there's lots I can tell you about. This thing is not one. But because I'm behind this counter, people expect me to know it.
Yeah.
It's just not my best skill set.
Mm-hmm. Totally. But you'd make it work.
Yeah.
You fucking make it work. That's rock and roll.
Yeah, just load it up, make it work. All right.
Sweet.
Should we call it there?
Sure.
Make it work. Moral of the story.
Did you ask all your questions?
Make it work.
I think
Did
you're
I
good.
ask all my questions?
I don't know.
How structured is your practice routine?
Not.
Good. What else have we got? What's inspiring you these days?
Oh my God. Being broke. No, I don't know.
What has being broke inspired you to do?
Get a job.
Really?
Fucking make plans.
Get some money.
You know?
Yeah.
Who cares? It'll work. It'll work out. I'm not too worried about it. Band's still doing good, so.
Yeah.
Sweet.
All right.
That's
it.
For me.
We're good.
Well, thanks for having me.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. What is your podcast called again?
We're still working on that.
That's what it's called? I like that. It's good.
Yeah, maybe it'll be called that.
We'll make it work. Well, signing off from...
All right.
Insert podcast name here.
All right. Wasn't that great? Doesn't she have a nice voice to listen to? You're so lucky. You're so smart that you chose to listen to this show. Show notes, as always, links to social media, background on my guests can be found at learndrums.ca/hitmakers. You can find more information about Michelle and her band online at likeamotorcycle.com. All right, that's it for this week. Thanks so much for listening, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.